AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dominating the nation's news at this hour is the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and I want to use the first segment of the show to just lay out a little bit of this history before we have our conversation with Atiba. Reflecting on the road to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, years after its passage, voting is how we express our power in our democracy. It is how we peacefully use our voices to affect countless outcomes in our lives, including our access to public education, affordable housing, basic health care, employment opportunities, and disaster relief, just to name a few. Voting is our foundational right. When that right is infringed upon, our democracy is weakened exponentially. On August 6, 1965, President Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act into law. President Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, and many others, enshrining protections for voters across our country who were historically denied access to the ballot box. The VRA was one of the most significant achievements of the civil rights movement. In the VRA, nonviolence, the ability to change our circumstance, and power, Black power, I am somebody, I have a dream, it all came together in the vote. Ending discriminatory voting practices and providing voters across the country with essential tools to fight discriminatory election rules and practices in various forms. The road to the Voting Rights Act has been a long road. In 1944, in a case called Smith versus Allwright, Smith was a landmark 1944 Supreme Court decision that struck down Texas's all-white primary election system that had disenfranchised Black voters for decades. The legal defense founder, Thurgood Marshall, argued that since primaries were a controlling factor in elections, the exclusion of Black voters from the Democratic primary election in Texas violated the 14th and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. The Supreme Court eventually agreed and struck down all white primaries in an 8-1 decision on April 3, 1944. The Smith decision laid the groundwork in the political battlegrounds of the South for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The impact was swift and far-reaching. In 1944, an estimated 200,000 Black people in the South were registered to vote. By 1952, 1 million Blacks were registered to vote. In 1965, in March of that year, Black civil rights leaders and advocates from across the South gathered in Alabama to march from Selma to Montgomery to demand the right to vote and participate fully in our democracy. And that was after the killing of Jimmy Lee Jackson in Marion, Alabama, just 2 weeks before, and the threatened lynching of James Orange. And at Jimmy Lee Jackson's funeral, it would be James Bevel who would turn to Martin Luther King Jr. and say, "We should march from Selma to Montgomery to get the nation's attention." And of course, crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which unfolded on that date, Bloody Sunday struck at our nation's core, exposing the fault lines of a nation that declared itself a democracy while allowing its citizens to be beaten and bloodied by police and state troopers for demanding their right to vote. The events of Bloody Sunday demonstrated to President Johnson that the civil rights movement could not wait any longer for the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act was enacted 5 months later. In 1965, on August 6, President Johnson signed the VRA of 1965 into law. The VRA was one of the most significant achievements of the civil rights movement, ending discriminatory practices like poll taxes, literacy tests, grandfather clauses that were used to prevent Black people from exercising their right to vote, establishing visionary pre-clearance, Section 5, requirements that for decades stopped voting discrimination before it occurred, and providing voters with essential tools to fight discriminatory election rules and practices in various forms. In 1966, in a case called South Carolina versus Katzenbach, 1 year after the passage of the VRA, the legal defense founders Thurgood Marshall litigated the landmark South Carolina versus Katzenberg Supreme Court case as U.S. Solicitor General. The decision in this case upheld the VRA as a valid exercise of Congress's power to enforce the 15th Amendment. This case reinforced the validity of the VRA and solidified the foundation of the legal framework that enabled challenges to discriminatory voting practices for decades to come. In 1975 Voting Rights Act, the Congress extended and passed a group of amendments to the VRA. These provisions extended new protections to certain language speakers across the country that in turn guaranteed qualified voters access to election materials in their native language. This is known as Section 203, and it targets language minorities that have suffered a history of exclusion from political participation in America's past. The Census Bureau identified specific language groups that qualified within the specific jurisdiction. And then in 1986, in Thornburg versus Gingles, the Supreme Court found that the system of at-large elections of state legislatures in North Carolina illegally diluted Black voting strength in violation of the VRA. In its decision, the court affirmed that this vote dilution violates the VRA regardless of whether there's proof of discriminatory intent. The case was argued by former LDF Director Counsel Julius Chambers, a great man and a great friend. This case was a major win in the fight for equal representation for Black communities and redefined redistricting law nationwide. The case established three preconditions known as the Giggles factors that must be met to prove a redistricting plan is discriminatory and violates Section 2 of the VRA, which prohibited racially discriminatory voting practices and procedures. The preconditions were: 1, a minority group must be sufficiently large and geographically compact to comprise a majority of a district. 2, the majority group must be politically cohesive. And 3, white voters vote sufficiently as a bloc, usually to defeat the minority group's preferred candidate. In 1970, there were just more than 50 number of Black elected officials located in the state of North Carolina between 1970 and 1981 as a result of Thornburg versus Giggles. By 1981, there were more than 250 African-American elected officials, and that brought us right up until yesterday in the Louisiana versus Calais case, where the Supreme Court struck down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, likely to return our system to a pre-First Reconstruction system, where we are looking at the diminishment of African-Americans at every level of government. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 in our conversation with Atiba when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pacoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV for more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want, skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Thought Provoking Thursdays, where our regular contributor is Atiba. Atiba is the former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's a strategic alliance consultant and president of Party Politics US. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse, it's great to be with you. How are you?
Great, brother. Good to hear your voice. A shocking and devastating day to the progress of African Americans from 1776 to the present, at least certainly from the writing of the Constitution in 1787 to the present. Marsha Blackburn in the state of Tennessee, the senator from that state, immediately after the decision called on the Tennessee state legislature to redraw the entire district, state of Tennessee, the state of Louisiana, rather than waiting for the primary process, which I understand is a little less than a week or maybe 2 weeks away, postponed its primary election process. Instead, has decided that it wants to redraw the entire state mid-decennially, even though the candidates have qualified, suggesting that those candidates who have qualified can run for office in the districts that the state has redrawn. Atiba, a cataclysmic result that is leading to the change and the trajectory of the United States. Atiba, your initial thoughts.
Well, first off, Jesse, I want to say thank you for what you've been doing just for the last year and months. You've been sounding the alarm that this was coming. And, so hopefully there are people that have been preparing for this. I want to believe that I'm living my life every day, ignoring fear and believing and embracing hope. And the hope right now is that if anyone out there thought that their vote did not count, did not matter, was not important, then ask yourself, why have they gone to these extremes to take away your right to vote? Why have they taken away, and why are they willing to do and stay there for the Constitution, but do everything that is going against the hard work, the sacrifices of so many? So if you think that your vote does not count, tomorrow it's too late. Right now, recognize your vote is valuable. It is the reason why they want to take it away. And how do we get here, Jesse? You did an excellent job, in terms of talking about the history. But I also think that we cannot absolve ourselves at all of any responsibility, because there have been too many people, and even people that I talk to on a daily basis, who said it wasn't until recently that they realized how important their vote was. So we got here because we took that for granted. We got here because there were men and women and children that walked across the Selma Bridge in Montgomery. There were women, men, and children that marched for us to have the right to vote. They put their lives on the line. Congressman John Lewis's skull was cracked open, among many others were hurt, to give us the right to vote. And we have taken it for granted. They put their lives on the line. They voted because they knew their lives depended on it. And too many of us have acted as if it has not. And we are in a place where I want to say we have to keep our eyes on the prize. I was actually going to start the show today with some sunglasses on to show that I'm wearing blinders. And the blinders, and the purpose of the blinders is not to get distracted. Congressman John Lewis, in his book, his autobiography that he signed to me, wrote in the year 2000, he said, Atiba, with faith and hope, keep your eyes on the prize. And I am following his blueprint. I'm following his instructions. I'm keeping my eyes on the prize. And right now we have to organize, each one take one, make sure that you're going with others to go vote, because we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome.
Atiba, I want to ask you the question, and I want to preface the question with this litany, or a brief biography of my own mother's life. And the question I want to ask you at the end is, how did we get here? And by that, I mean, my mother was but a child when Brown versus the Board of Education was decided in 1954. She knew segregation, and then she knew the America we were becoming on the other side of segregation. She was but a child when Emmett Till was killed in Mississippi. And when Rosa Parks rode on the bus and said, when asked the question, why did you sit down? Rosa Parks responded, I couldn't get Emmett Till off of my mind. And Mamie Till Mobley, who let her son's body be on public display so people could see the horrific condition of his corpse and his remains, that shocked the conscience of the nation. Even when you Google Emmett Till's body today, there is a screen over the body before you can touch it and actually see the picture in the images on Google. She was coming of age in 1963 when Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the I Have a Dream speech, and she watched the assassination of John F. Kennedy and the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65. And she was obviously very young, but very much knew Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. And so by the time she had the vote in her hand, I mean, she brought all of this stuff to voting. And at 82 years old, she has never missed a vote because so much of her formative life and formative years was shaped by a right and access that she did not have to say something about the shape and the direction and the trajectory of the nation. Atiba, how did we get here? Where we sit over here with the luxury of trying to figure out if we voting or not voting. How did we get here?
Privilege and entitlement is a beautiful thing, but it is scary when you take it for granted. So, you know, we've had the privilege to vote. We've been entitled to vote. Too often we've said we're too tired or I don't, you know, there's not a candidate that inspires me enough. Or, you know, I said this a few weeks ago. We've got to look at this like a negotiation. And the negotiation is which one of these candidates that I have to choose from will at least serve some of my interests. But we can't keep going to this idea that a candidate can only be for me in everything that is important to me. And, you know, there are so many different things on a national level that I think, and for me as a registered independent, I've said this before, someone who was registered as a Republican until the 2016 elections, who votes and always has voted more so to the left, but not always. Because I'm always looking at the candidate and I'm looking at who I can have greater access to, who I can sit down with, who I think will not just listen to what my issues or what are my things that are important to me, but also who will vote in that way. And so I think all these different components, I remember, Jesse, being in college at Virginia State University and a professor saying to write our congressman. And I thought, if I write my congressman, they're not going to read this, because I didn't understand that they're legislative aides, they're interns, they're legislative directors, there's chief of staff, there are other people. It doesn't necessarily have to just get to the congressman, but if the congressman or the state legislator or the mayor or the city council member or the alderman, whomever they are, if you're calling or you're writing a letter, trust and understand that there are other citizens that are doing the same thing. And so when they can look at that and they can say, well, we've got a majority of people that are saying this and a minority that are saying this, then they have to listen to that. You can speak to that much better than I can, Jesse, as a former congressman. So overall, you know, many of us got upset when Jasmine Crockett, for instance, lost in Texas. And when I've been talking to people about that, I keep saying something that I think is something we have to look at in terms of the lay of the land with this, as well as how we go forward. And that is, her district was redrawn. She decided she was going to run for the state, to be the representative for the Democratic Party for the United States Senate. And my thing to people was, as much as I like Jasmine, as much as I like how she responds to things, how she talks, was her message one? If it could not win a redrawn district in Texas, how could it win a state, win the whole state? And often right now, when we're seeing these redrawn districts, we also have to figure out in a changing on a changing playing field, and right in the middle of a battle, President Joe Biden said that we were in a battle for the soul of America. We had no idea how deeply we were in this battle until now. But President Obama said in his last speech as president in 2017, not that change was not in his ability to bring change, but in our own. So I think too, in terms of, you asked the question initially, how did we get here? I'm comfortable going back and saying we got here because we took for granted the privilege and entitlement we had to vote. But the question I think is an even harder question to ask is, how do we get out of this? But I always say that the answer to a difficult question or a complicated question is a simple answer. And the change that we are seeking is within us. The hope and the victory that we want is within us. We have to figure out, not just as African Americans, not just as white American or Hispanic Americans, but as human beings, How are we going to come together, and how are we going to figure out that the better way forward is together? Because we during COVID, we got into a whole battle about vaccine and anti-vaccine. This country has historically always been one against the other. The media does a great job of pitting us one against the other. We've got to figure out how to have those blinders on, and how to keep our eyes on the prize, and how to move forward with faith and hope. And we have to figure out how we do that together. And some of that's going to take messaging, some of it's going to take action, but overall, it cannot and it will not happen if we continue to move forward divided. That's what this administration, that's what this Republican Congress, that's what we're seeing in the states. They're dividing us, and we're allowing them to do that. And we are in this muck and mire and in this abyss of despair.
I appreciate that, Atiba. I feel a weariness in the land. I feel a despondence. I feel a depression. I feel a disappointment. Crawling out of this, if you will, this valley of despair into, as Martin Luther King Jr. would have called it, a mountain of hope. To even have a mountaintop view while in the valley is indeed tough. And we're grateful that that you're helping center us on these critical issues that clearly affect the outcome of quite possibly existentially as well as internally the existence of the Negro in America. Yesterday, make no mistake about it, was absolute turning point in the history of the struggle of our people. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and our conversation with Atiba right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker is criticizing Cook County Judge John Like for allowing Alfonso Talley, a black man, to remain on electronic monitoring instead of in jail.
A judge can make this decision. A judge should have made the decision to keep that person in jail.
Talley is accused of killing Chicago police officer John Bartholomew and critically wounding another officer. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for Tennessee lawmakers to redraw the state's congressional map after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's second majority black district. Blackburn wants a special session to add another Republican seat in Memphis and says she will push to make it happen. And House Republicans say they have passed a Department of Homeland Security funding bill ending a 76-day lapse for most of the agency. The measure funds DHS agencies like the Secret Service and TSA, while ICE and Border Patrol are expected to be funded separately through reconciliation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill for $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. and try our new Chili Crisp dumplings paired with a premium beverage drink like our new Strawberry Watermelon Lemonade Energy Refresher. Both for just $5 only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
6 days ago, the Lakers were up 3-0 on the Houston Rockets and appeared to be ready to close them out for the season. Today, the Lakers are in the uncomfortable position of having to go back to Houston for Game 6 Friday night. The Lakers are in this position after losing to the Rockets 99-93 Wednesday night in Game 5 at Crypto.com. The Lakers have a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 series, but their momentum at the moment is non-existent. Even without Kevin Durant, the Rockets still had their way with the Lakers defense. All 5 Rockets starters scored in double figures. LeBron tried to do his part with 25 points and 7 assists. Austin Reeves, playing in his first game since April 2nd, had 22 points off the bench, but Reeves' return had little effect on the outcome. Later today, the Lakers will board their charter flight to Houston. Along the way, they need to figure out how to get one more win against the Rockets. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa, whoa.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet, without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV for more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want and skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Thought-Provoking Thursdays, and we are in conversation with Atiba. Atiba most recently was a guest host on Rising, an American daily news and opinion web series produced by Washington, D.C. political newspaper The Hill. In 2020, he released his first novel, Saving Grace, a political thriller. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Always good to be with you, Jesse.
Atiba, I was a little depressed this morning when I got up and drove about 1.5 miles from my home to get some Starbucks. And down the street from my home here in South Shore of Chicago, I saw every single block has a banner tied to one of the city poles One says, I am somebody. The other says, never surrender. Another says, keep hope alive. And it goes on and on and on for several miles, in at least multiple directions here in the city of Chicago, honoring the life of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And I thought about his five decades of advocacy, maybe 6 decades or more of encouraging people to vote. My father spent more time on the road inspiring people to vote, quite frankly, than he did at each of my siblings' various events where they're growing up. And that required lots and lots of sacrifice to speak hope into people. And it came at a pretty heavy cost at home. And when I hear you use the term entitlement, that a generation of Americans have lost a sense of purpose, and that with the privilege of the right to vote, and that's really what it is. Donald Trump is showing you every day that it's a privilege. If you don't have a passport, you will not have the privilege. If you have not been born here, we are coming at your privilege. With the privilege of the right to vote comes some significant responsibility. And I'm thinking about my dad's life, and I was saying, well, was it all worth it? Is it just, in light of your answer, entitlement? Some of it's a function of enlightenment. Atiba, I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning, just turning over and over, thinking about the conversation I'm going to have with you around the Voting Rights Act, because I've not been, there's something burning inside me about what's going on with this thing. If this thing ain't burning inside of everybody, then it's burning just inside of you and I. And that's somewhere between entitlement, but it's also enlightenment. Man, you and I feel some kind of way about losing Congress people, state legislators, and state senators. It's on our mind, but I don't sense that it's on everybody's mind with the same ferocity, if you will. Tiba?
You know what's on my mind? The big payback. That's what I'm serious. Look, our past, our people, they've given us the language, they've given us the roadmap. We just have to follow it.
Okay.
I'm serious. I mean, like what was it, Jefferson's? Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill, but it took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Well, right now we are rolling down the hill, but it's okay. We've been up the hill before. We know how to get back up there. So when you just said, and thank you so much for bringing up your father, because Jesse, the world is a much better place because your father was in it. Your mother and your father, their children, you all are the embodiment of America. And so we have to. I just finished watching the movie The Jacksons, and I watched Motown with interviews with Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson, and all I kept thinking about was Black excellence. And so you can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. I hate to tell you, I'm sleeping fitfully at night because I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning and I'm listening to the past, and I'm listening and I'm learning. I'm going back. I'm like, we got to learn from these lessons from the past, because the way forward is here. It's just that we have to take the privilege, and we are entitled to repeat it because we lost touch with it. And that's part of the American struggle. It's part of the human struggle. And so, the thing that what you're saying, and this is, I keep saying, and I've been saying this for years, we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, that we have to each one take one. And I'm like, God, I've been saying this stuff. I don't know if people listening to me, you think they're going to hear me now? Midterms effing matter. Do you think they're going to hear me now? This president has made it socially acceptable to wear the word effing on my shirt. So thank you. And I keep looking at it. So what has he done, and what is he doing that's making me say thank you? He said he was going to make America great again. You know what? It ain't great. It ain't never been great, but it's up to us to do that. And I asked this question. I wrote this down during the break, Jesse, and I've had people argue with me when I say this, that I believe in God's plan. And what people get upset with me when I say is that God had a plan for us when he took the best of us from Africa and brought us here. And I believe he brought us here for this moment. And I believe that we have to speak in language now that's going to wake up the soul, wake up the spirit of us, to get us away from drinking away our sorrows and numbing our pain. that this is the moment that America has been waiting for. We saw it in 2008 when your father was shown on CNN, with tears in his eyes, crying, because I believe he felt the spirit of what it was that you working on that campaign and others to mobilize and to bring about a change. But that change was not just him. We just kept putting our emphasis on him. The change was because of us. And the problem is, over that 8 years, we relaxed, thought we had arrived. And while we were relaxing, they were preparing. And in 2016 and 2024, somehow, some way, the country decided to vote for hate over love. And so we've got to figure out how we're going to come back at this with some tough love. I'm down here in Florida, and I'm telling you, they can redraw the districts all they want. And I keep telling people that, and they keep asking me, how can you say that? Because I'm right here on ground zero. And they're in for a rude awakening. Because when we're going to pay for our gas, and it costs me $50, I don't even let my gas tank go below a half a tank anymore, because that cost me $50. Imagine what it costs if I let it go to E. And so the thing is that they're hitting us in our pocket. Every time the president is saying something about, oh, I'm going to wipe out this country, we're going to do this. Watch the stock market. Who is making money? Follow the money, because the money is coming out of our pockets and going into the billionaire pockets. And we're not talking enough about that. And so overall, this election that's coming up is, James Carville said it in 1992. And it is as relevant today in 2026 as it was in 1992. It's the economy, stupid.
Let me add this, Satiba, because I know that we just have less than a minute before we come forward. But if I had the choice between 100 black mayors of big city mayors that are closer to the people, who are fixing streets and fixing schools and making things better in our community, even if they were the first black mayors in those municipalities, I'd say I'd rather have 100 black mayors than one U.S. president. I've lived through all of it. I'd rather have 60 blacks in the House of Representatives than 10 blacks in the U.S. Senate, because 60 African Americans in the House of Representatives are closer to the people, fixing highways, fixing streets, fixing healthcare, fixing needs, bringing resources home, patching problems, longstanding problems that exist in our community. I'm not saying that both aren't impossible, but at some point, beyond the symbolism of a guy at the top who can only do so much, there's a lot to be said about our elected officials at the local and the grassroots level who do things. If I had thousands of more of them actually able to deliver versus a symbol at the top, I'd take the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which in its purest sense is not necessary to elect a president, because it's a 270 electoral vote game and not a popular vote game. I need local blacks. I'm Jesse Jackson. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Atiba's going to pick back up on this point when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You better work.
She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert.
Hi, I'm Fred Martin, founder of Compton Kids Club. I just want to talk about the authenticity and tell y'all about my homeboy, Tom Steyer. Tom is a rock star. When I met him, Tom gave a grant to schools in San Francisco. All the kids were on probation. We were flying instructors for 2 years to come and help those kids doing performing arts and turning their life around. Some of the kids that he supported, they've graduated from UCLA. Let's fast forward. Tom is in schools in Compton, hanging out with the kids in the piano classes. Brother Tom Steyer hangs out in the studio with us. These are the seeds that he's planted. This has nothing to do with elections. What's coming out of his mouth is not a campaign speech. It's authentic. And when he say he walks away from a business because he want to do his values, he ain't making that up because he's running for governor. This man is real.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. At the heart of the Al Wooten Center's mission for good citizenship and academic excellence is a desire to ensure that every student avoids the kind of lifestyle and overcomes the kinds of challenges that led to the murder of Al Wooten Jr. In 1990, founder Myrtle Fay Rumpf opened the center in honor of her son's life. In 2026, they are serving more than 300 students in grades 3 through 12 annually online and on site at their youth center and other sites in the South LA area. The Al Wooten Jr. Youth Center takes a neighborhood approach to the revitalization and empowerment of a community in crisis. The Wooten Center provides free after-school and summer programs to help students in grades 3 through 12 attain grade-level proficiency and promotion, high school graduation, and college and career access and success. The Al Wooten Center focuses on academics, STEM, the arts, and so much more. Join them for an enriching experience that sparks creativity and nurtures young minds. Tap in at WootenCenter.org. That's WootenCenter.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't forget to download the app. Don't forget to share today's program. I see you. Type processor T18. Doug Dog Blues. Lynette Purple Angel Alexander. Thank you for following us and following our show. We are in conversation with Atiba. Atiba, I was making a brief point just before we went away about my dad. He ran for president in 84. He ran for president in 88. A lot of people give him credit for laying the foundation, certainly changing the rules in the Democratic Party. which made it easier for Barack Obama by 2008 to become the first African-American president of the United States. But Tavis Smiley knows what I know, man. My dad hung out with Negroes, man. My dad hung out with the Black Caucus. He was at the CBC weekends. My dad is responsible more than just for black presidents. Dad hung around black Negroes in Congress. Maxine Waters and Ron Dellums and John Conyers and John Lewis and Jim Clyburn. Dad spent time in congressional districts expanding the Congressional Black Caucus because government with them was closer to the people. He was registering their voters, speaking in their churches, doing rallies with them in between presidential elections at state legislative levels. Jesse Jackson was present. And there's always this focus, Atiba, on the symbol at the top. You can only do so much. They need the Congress, they need the Senate, they need the courts. But, you know, when government is closest to the people, particularly black people, when we can send people who think like we think to Washington, guess what? We can get a reparations bill out of Sheila Jackson Lee. Now, you change Sheila Jackson Lee's district, and if she files a reparations bill, half of her district vote against her, she's done. Because the shape of the district controls the quality of her voice and the authenticity of what she represents as a people. Atiba, we have about 6 minutes before we come forward. I know you got a word of hope in there, but please respond to that. Forge your word of hope.
I'm laughing, Jesse, because I saw a picture of your father standing with your brother and Joe Jackson this week. And it made me, when you just said that he hung out with Negroes, I was like, yeah, he did.
Oh, my dad knew every club in Gary, Indiana. Man, and every High Shaft Corral, the Dayton game, up and down Stony Island. My dad hung out with black folk. He knew every juke joint, every soul food joint he knew a soul food restaurant in every city in America.
And Jesse, and every I have to say, every Thursday, I'm excited and looking forward to us talking, because, you know, the thing that I love is that we don't have to agree, or we might see things from different perspectives. I tell you, when I leave the show, I'm always like, okay, you know, I had to think about this a little bit differently, maybe, or still maybe even be stronger in what I think. And I like what you just said before the break about you'd rather see multiple 100 mayors or more congressional members. But I will say this. I'd like to see both. That's in the perfect world. Yeah. And the president of the Senate, former president of the Senate, Emil Jones, and I were in Detroit when Barack Obama was running for president. And he helped me see some things that I wasn't seeing. He said, Atiba, you know, me being president of the Senate wasn't just about being president of the Senate. It was the jobs that I was able to affect being the president of the Senate.
That's right.
He said, when those white boys were coming into my chamber to talk to me, and I'm looking through the door and I'm like, well, where are the black lobbyists?
Yeah.
So as a result of that, it was a trickle down.
Yeah.
And when we have the president of the United States, when Barack Obama was president, there were more black lobbyists. When right now, the Congressional Black Caucus, there are more black lobbyists as a result. So there's a whole lot of other trickle down. We talk about if we lose these seats, but we should also be thinking also how we're going to lose some other things too in this process. This is all the trickle down impact. Absolutely. And when we look at what your father did in the 80s and changing the rules, well, what we're seeing now is the same thing, but in the reverse. And they're changing the rules on us. And how we affect and how we bring about change is we got to figure out a different playbook. We've marched and marched and marched and marched. And I've been part of those marches. And when you get to the end of the march, you're wondering, well, what's next? And so my call to action is, let's march to vote. Let's march to register. Let's make sure you go and you do your due diligence and make sure your registration is intact, and keep checking it. You can check it now, but make sure you check it again in August. Make sure you check it again in September. Make sure you check it again in October. Do everything you can possibly do to make sure that you have your right in place to make your vote. because your voice is your vote. And right now, I would say just be quiet. Organize within your churches, in your mosques, in your synagogues, in your community centers, in your homes. Don't do it online. Do it. Put your phones away. Get back together like they did when they walked across the bridge and they were arm in arm. Do like what John Lewis talked to me about, was how they would have these meetings and there would be no one there. Start a movement. And this is the people's movement. And this movement that I'm talking about right now is one in which we, not just African Americans, not just Blacks, not just Hispanics, not just white, but we collectively are coming together in that rainbow and creating our own rainbow coalition. And that rainbow, Jesse, is about us. I asked the question, I said before that I think that God brought us here for a reason. And I believe that reason is for us. And that's my hope, is that it wakes it up in us, our reality that this is our day and this is our day to lead.
Atiba, I appreciate that word of hope. The last few days for me, or last 24 hours, I felt like Florida Evans when she found out that James was dead. And I've just been struggling with it. I appreciate your word of hope and for inspiring us on this great day. We've got to pick up the pieces, everyone, and we've got to move forward. That's our conversation with Atiba. That's what he's telling us. Don't despair. Lift our heads to the heavens. Let us hold our heads high, which Jesse Jackson would ask us to do, and let us continue the great march towards a beloved community. When we come forward, we'll be with Johnny Mack, building the beloved community right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, Brother Atiba.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is criticizing Cook County Judge John Like for allowing Alfonso Talley, a black man, to remain on electronic monitoring instead of in jail.
A judge can make this decision. A judge should have made the decision to keep that person in jail.
Talley is accused of killing Chicago police officer John Bartholomew and critically wounding another officer. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for Tennessee lawmakers to redraw the state's congressional map after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's second majority black district. Blackburn wants a special session to add another Republican seat in Memphis and says she will push to make it happen. And House Republicans say they have passed a Department of Homeland Security funding bill ending a 76-day lapse for most of the agency. The measure funds DHS agencies like the Secret Service and TSA, while ICE and Border Patrol are expected to be funded separately through reconciliation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill for $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. and try our new Chili Crisp dumplings paired with a premium beverage drink like our new Strawberry Watermelon Lemonade Energy Refresher. Both for just $5 only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Houston Rockets confirmed today that Kevin Durant will not play Friday night against the Lakers in Game 6. This will be the fourth consecutive game Durant has missed in the first round series. The 37-year-old Durant has a bone bruise in his left ankle. The Rockets know they can win without Durant, who ranks 5th on the NBA all-time scoring list. They won the past 2 games without Durant to avoid elimination. Game 6 is Friday night in Houston at 7 p.m. Congratulations to former Clippers guard John Wall. He was named president of basketball operations at HBCU Howard University. The basketball operations gig is a new position at Howard, located in Washington, D.C. Many colleges are hiring front office executives to help deal with the increasing financial responsibilities for college athletic departments. Wall played 10 of his 12 NBA seasons with the Washington Wizards. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, whoa. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, whoa. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. On KBLA. We are now in World House. Johnny Mack. Dr. King espoused the philosophy of a world house of interconnectedness between all people, where we were trapped, caught in a inescapable bond of mutuality. In short, we all need each other. We're all part of the same fabric, the same cloth, whose destiny is intricately tied to the success of our brothers and sisters. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur, scholar practitioner with expertise in the subject areas of peace, conflict, and social change movements. He's traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict resolution, and nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence using King's call to restructure the social edifice, and particularly its triple evils of racism, poverty, and militarism, with a revolution of values that is feasible power. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. It's so great to be here.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Doc. Listen, let me ask you a question, because with the reflection, and I'm so grateful that we have these reflections, the Voting Rights Act was decided in 1965, and we've gone essentially from 16 African Americans who served in Congress sometime between 1865 and the turn of the century after Plessy versus Ferguson brought an end to first Reconstruction. And then this period of Jim Crow, which essentially wiped out all African American elected officials until Brown versus the Board of Education laid the foundation for the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and subsequent public accommodations legislation. It occurs to me that in 1965, when Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the work that I've been doing with you right here with Los Angeles and with all of our listeners throughout the global sphere that is listening to us right here at KBLA, that when Dr. King makes this shift to the idea of the World House, there is an assumption that we were participating in a democracy, that we had, at least by the time he talks about militarism, racism, and poverty, we had the right to vote for 3 years. Still a lot more progress that needed to be made. We had the right to vote at the hour of his assassination. But Dr. King is concerned about the fact that he has now integrated our people, Johnny, into a burning house. That now that we are looking at the fundamental shift in the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which is an assumption that Martin Luther King Jr. could not have made in 1965 or at the hour of his death. It is a reality that is unique to us. It is not a reality that was unique to Martin Luther King Jr. after those decades of sacrifice, including his life. Where do we go from here? In light of the fact that this isn't ground where we get to rely upon Jesse Jackson. We don't get to rely upon Dr. King. We don't get to rely upon Julian Bond, who was forced out of the Georgia legislature or wasn't sworn into the legislature at the appropriate time. Even Pearson and Johnson in Tennessee. This is something that they've experienced now that Martin Luther King Jr. Did not experience. In fact, Brother Pearson's running for Congress, and Marsha Blackburn, the senator of her state, in the news brief that we had just before our program began, called for the redrawing of all of the seats in the state of Tennessee, the congressional delegation, which could profoundly impact Brother Pearson's chances of Congress or even remaining in the state legislature, and we're experiencing this all over the country. Johnny, these are different times. This is a different reflection than anything Dr. King and that generation had to come to terms with. Dr. Mack.
Jesse, thank you so much for framing it as you did, because the times are very different. There was no Homeland Security Act in the mid-20th century, Jesse. Stay with me on this. There's much to talk about.
Take your time.
What happened yesterday or this week with the literal gutting of this act. So there was no Homeland Security Act. That's important. We'll come back to it. There was no ICE. Redistricting was a phenomena, but not a the phenomena of redistricting existed then, but not on steroids as we see it today. There's a lot going on, Jesse, that is not, well, let me put it this way. An old professor of mine used to say, Jesse, that which is actual is not always apparent. And that which is apparent is not always actual. In other words, there's a lot going on here that we have not fully understood. We have not fully comprehended, and we're not fully aware of. When I say we, I mean, speaking very frankly, those of us on the other side of the argument of what has just happened with the Voting Rights Act. And if we can't fully, if we're not fully aware of what's going on, if we're not fully aware of what has happened and how it's happened, and what it portends for us, how can we fully prepare to respond to it? I hope, Jesse, when we come on the other side of our break, that we can really explore what's happening here, at least from the perspective of King's World House.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur and scholar practitioner with expertise in the areas of peace, conflict, social change movements. And when we come forward on the other side, we're going to look at this from the perspective of Dr. King's World House. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny Mack believes that a framework articulated by Dr. King would lead to peaceable power as direct, structural, and cultural nonviolence with correlating strategic, conscientious, and cultural action correlates. Thus, Dr. Mack argues that nonviolence is a metalogic with direct, structural, and cultural forms that counterpose Johann Galtung's seminal conflict of violence triangles. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Mack, on the other side of this interpretation is a viewpoint at a vantage point before the break that you suggested was worthy of reflection and interrogation.
Indeed, Jesse. You know, I was on a call before this one, before our show today, with a longtime civil rights leader here in the country, and we were talking about what has just happened. And he said something that he and I really agree with, and that is how the Republicans responded with great speed, was his quote, with great speed to this change in the act. Why is that important? Again, he said the Republicans, the right side of the political divide, in other words, responded with great speed. What he was really counterposing is, what did the other side do? What is the speed with which the other side has responded? Not with great speed.
Agreed.
And so here's the problem. For at least 75 years, Jesse, for at least 75 years, what happened this week has been in process. Project 2025, though it was not called Project 2025 necessarily 75 years ago, was in the making, and meticulously, methodically indefatigably, that side of the equation has schemed and organized and mobilized and prepared the institutional and structural infrastructure, stay with me, Jesse,
Take your time, John.
for what we are realizing today. Well, they understood that the time would come when those who were in the majority would no longer be that majority, and that a minority, as they are so called today, would suddenly become the majority. And the question more than 75 years ago, Jesse, was what do we do then? And so the preparation for where do we go from here, King's question that they asked themselves more than 75 years ago is how we got to where we are today. Now, King admonished us, if you read Where Do We Go From Here, read that book carefully, not only chapter 6, which talks about the world house, but chapter 5. The title of chapter 5 is Where We Are Going. King admonished us to prepare for where we are today. His question, where do we go from here, was a question about how do we prepare ourselves now, because we are not safe now. If I may, Jesse, if we have time, if I can read a quote or two from that book of Kings.
Please do.
King says, we must frankly acknowledge that in past years, our creativity and imagination were not employed in learning how to develop power. We found a method in nonviolent protest that worked, and we employed it enthusiastically. We did not have leisure to probe for a deeper understanding of its laws and lines of development. Although our actions were bold and crowned with success, they were substantially impoverished and spontaneous. They attained the goals set for them, but carried the blemishes of our inexperience. He then says, and then I'm done, Jesse.
Take your time.
When a new dawn reveals a landscape dotted with obstacles, the time has come for sober reflection, for assessment of our methods, and for anticipating pitfalls. Stumbling and groping through the wilderness finally must be replaced by planned, organized, and orderly march. In other words, King was saying, what we've done thus far is not sufficient. I'm going to read another quote before our hour is over that punctuates the point. King was trying to tell us our work is not done. There's much more planning to do. What we've done thus far is okay for now, but it will not suffice for the difficult days ahead. And Jesse, we are now realizing those difficult days that King saw were ahead. I'll stop and take a breath. There's much more I want to say, but Jesse, where do we go from here is the question that confronts us now.
So I get this call this morning from my younger brother, Yusef, who is now the president and CEO of my father's organization, the National Rainbow Push Coalition. And he asks me, he says, Jesse, do you want to speak this coming Saturday at Push? Do you want to unload on what has happened in the last 24 hours? I said, Yusef, let me think about it. I really need a moment to reflect on what I'm feeling in my stomach about this hour. When I leave the program today, I'm going to run to the far south side and get some new tires on a car from my mother that she's been driving until they were bald. And she called me this morning and asked me to stop by and pick up the little fees for the new tires. And then I said, okay, Mom, no problem. I'll do it right after my show. Then I hung up. She called me right back. I was still on the phone with Yusef. And then she said, oh, and by the way, I'd like to get your take on what's happening with the Voting Rights Act. I said, Mom, let me conference you in with Yusef. Let me lay, if I can, a little bit of foundation. The foundation that I want to lay, and I've laid it on this program previously, is that the last time we fought to change the Constitution of the United States, it is from the vantage point that Frederick Douglass had, looking up at Lincoln and looking at the trajectory of the nation.
Mm.
No matter what was happening, states were being admitted, one free and one slave. There was great respect for the 10th Amendment. States left the Union on the basis of belief in the 10th Amendment. And so they were in this quagmire over who's right, who's wrong, the states or this new federal government. And so the only way out of the quagmire was clear. And Douglas, maybe the only conscious African American at the time, was able to help Lincoln see Amendment number 13, Amendment number 14, and Amendment number 15. And even in Spielberg's movie on Lincoln, there's a great debate amongst members of the cabinet about adding, beyond the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and locking it, the progress that had been made in place. And Lincoln is really clear. He turns to them and says, now what happens when this is over? When they rule my emancipation, essentially my executive order, unconstitutional because it was a wartime measure, we're back to where we started for again, arguing over what states come into the Union and where slavery is going to be. And then everything that would have been gained would have been lost. He said, we need an amendment to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as I can tell, that was the last time Black leadership, I told my mother this morning, fought for an amendment to the Constitution. The last time. Now, I said, Mom, let's start with the most profound problem, that people have lost faith and trust in the Constitution, right? The Constitution, written in 1787, a Bill of Rights added in 1791, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment added in, 1865, 67, 68, I guess it is, right in that period. To amend the Constitution, we need 2/3 of the Congress of the United States, which means to build an organization that is in 350 congressional districts around the country. Ain't no NAACP. It ain't no Urban League. It ain't PUSH. It ain't the National Action Network. To get through to 350 congressmen and to have a base of candidates running in 350 or more congressional districts to amend the Constitution is something Frederick Douglass had to give reflection to if we're going to lock in the end of slavery. That's just how many congressmen we need.
Yeah, come on now.
And then we need 3/4 of the states to ratify whatever it is that Congress does pass. So now we need what? Of 50 states, we need 3/4 of them to agree. That isn't just a number. That is the constitutional number that gives us the size of the organization necessary to lock it in.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the issues that the American people are concerned about? They're concerned about an equal high quality education. Every single day that we see Democrats and Republicans tampering with districts and the Voting Rights Act and various forms of voting, we need a constitutional right to vote in the Constitution of the United States. That requires 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the states. It's simply not there.
Mm-hmm.
We need health care for all Americans. We need 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the states. It's not in the Constitution. So when we turn our eyes to the Constitution tells us the size of the world house that we have to consider, the size of the organization necessary to get there, and quickly we realize that Blacks alone cannot do it themselves. We need women, we need gays and lesbians, we need farmers, we need some red counties, some red states, we need some poor working white folks who want better schools for their kids and want health care for their houses. In other words, our language moves from Black power, something for us only, reparations for us only, to something far more universal, so that what we can lock something in the form of an individual right. And in building and fighting for that individual right, we build a community of common interests, because what? We all want our children to have the highest quality education. We all want our parents and for ourselves the highest possible health care when we get sick. So I'm trying to frame here, Johnny, with my mother and my brother early this morning, that we're not thinking on the scale of the problem. We're thinking about what we can do on the south side of Chicago. Uncle Al, God bless him, is national, but thinking about what he can do in Harlem. Urban League just built their new headquarters in Harlem. NAAC just moved from Baltimore to Washington, becoming a policy organization, basically lobbying. We're not building and registering people to vote of different walks of life in community, in places that Dr. King would have to go, knock on the door, ask people to look beyond the happenstance of race of who's delivering the message in order to build a more perfect union and to save the union itself. This Johnny, is a road that is made for a young person. I told my mother, I'm 61 years old, and when I've been arguing this case for 40 years, my time is nearly up. But someone has to have the vision to see this and to keep it moving. I mentioned it to Dad, but Dad would often say, man, I ain't got that kind. This is years ago. Man, I ain't got that kind of time, man. I ain't got that kind of time. So increasingly, from Jim Clyburn to Maxine to the older generation, it's impossible to get a vision that sees 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the states. In other words, they can't develop the perspective that Frederick Douglass had on the Constitution simply because chronologically the years are not available to them. And then that takes me to the next generation and to our youth. It is time that we engage them in a conversation about the world that they want to build so that they can begin to take ownership of the size, the scope, and the scale of the problem. I'm talking with Johnny Mack today. We're in conversation right here on the World House. More on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Johnny Mack is one of the great prolific reflectors and thinkers of our day and our hour. Grateful to have him here on our program one day after the collapse of the Voting Rights Act. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is signing an executive order to expand retirement plan access for workers without workplace plans.
This afternoon, I'm thrilled to sign a historic executive order.
The new government accounts will be listed on TrumpIRA.gov and mirror the plans available to federal workers. A judge is blocking the federal government from withholding grant money from Atlanta over DEI policies. The city joined others in suing the Trump administration, which sought to block funding from cities that would not assist with immigration enforcement or cut DEI programs. Atlanta received $1.4 billion in federal funds last year. And prosecutors allege Black singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, sexually abused 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez beginning at the age of 13, then fatally stabbed her in April 2025 after she threatened to expose their relationship. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill for $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. and try our new Chili Crisp dumplings paired with a premium beverage drink like our new Strawberry Watermelon Lemonade Energy Refresher. Both for just $5 only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Houston Rockets confirmed today that Kevin Durant will not play Friday night against the Lakers in Game 6. This will be the fourth consecutive game Durant has missed in the first round series. The 37-year-old Durant has a bone bruise in his left ankle. The Rockets know they can win without Durant, who ranks 5th on the NBA all-time scoring list. They've won the past 2 games without Durant to avoid elimination. Game 6 is Friday night in Houston at 7 p.m. Congratulations to former Clippers guard John Wall. He was named president of basketball operations at HBCU Howard University. The basketball operations gig is a new position at Howard, located in Washington, D.C. Many colleges are hiring front office executives to help deal with the increasing financial responsibilities for college athletic departments. Wall played 10 of his 12 NBA seasons with the Washington Wizards. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When temperatures climb, LADWP wants to help you stay cool indoors, starting in your attic. With quality attic insulation, your home can stay more comfortable during hot summer days and help lower your energy bills year-round. It's a smart way to save. And for a limited time, LADWP has increased the attic insulation rebates to make upgrading more affordable. Act now to start saving. Visit ladwp.com/attic. That's ladwp.com/attic.
You can't fix what you won't face. And we face it every day. This is KBLA Talk 1580. In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that will help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
When did watching TV go from a way to relax to a complicated chore? Well, if you're sick of huge cable bills or endlessly searching for the show everyone's talking about, then welcome to Philo. Philo's the streaming service that respects both your time and your wallet, without needing to cut the stuff you actually love to watch. This means live TV for more than 70 channels like Hallmark, History, A&E, and Lifetime, plus a huge library of blockbuster movies and classic shows, and an easy-to-use unlimited DVR that lets you save anything you want, skip all the ads when you watch. The best part? You get all this for just $25 a month when you sign up at Philo.tv. No hidden fees, no long contracts, just a genuinely great deal. And new users can try it completely free for 7 days. So head to Philo.tv, that's PHILO.tv, and experience a better way to TV. Subscriptions auto-renew at monthly rate plus applicable taxes. Cancel anytime. See terms at Philo.tv.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm tired of marching. Tired of marching for something that should have been mine at birth. I don't mind saying to you tonight. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of the tension surrounding our days. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of living every day under the threat of death. I have no martyr complex. I want to live as long as anybody in this building tonight, and sometimes I begin to doubt whether I'm going to make it through. I must confess I'm tired.
Johnny, we're tired. We're tired of marching for schools that should have been better at the hour that we were born. We're tired of marching and asking Democrats to give us health care as a fundamental right. We're tired of fighting in a democracy for the right to vote, which should have been ours at the hour of our birth, and we're still discussing whether or not we can vote in our own country after having died in every war from the Revolutionary War to the present. We're tired of being told no. We're tired of being told that we're unqualified to get a job. We're tired. We're tired. We're tired of being told we're not qualified to go to the best schools in this country and graduate with medical degrees and healthcare degrees and come back and be of service to our community, even after having served our nation. We're tired now. We're tired, Johnny. We're tired.
Now, remember, that's King speaking, and you're agreeing with him today. Jesse, I promised to read another quote, and this one's very quick. It evokes happy memories to recall that our victories in the past decade were won with a broad coalition of organizations representing a wide variety of interests. But we deceive ourselves if we envision the same combination backing structural changes in the society. It did not come together for such a program and will not reassemble for it.
Say that last part again, Johnny.
We deceive ourselves if we envision the same combination backing structural changes in society. It did not come together for such a program and will not reassemble for it. What is King telling us?
It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen under any expectations of that structure providing us
precisely
our tiredness.
And precisely, he's saying, I'm tired of marching. He's saying the structure that exists today, then, Jesse, in the mid-20th century, will not be the structure that will be ready and responsive to the challenges and those difficult days ahead. So what is the structure that we need today to address this problem? Jesse, remember we started our show by saying that a structural change occurred. Somebody else heard King's message. And you know what they did? They put it in the structure that brought us to where we are today. They followed the very thing that King was telling his listeners, his constituency to do. He called for a restructuring of the social edifice. Jesse, what has happened? We have had, Jesse, materially, particularly this week, a restructuring, a structural change in the edifice. But it was not the change that King sought, and it was not made by those that he admonished to make the change. What do we do now? We must build the social and institutional frameworks. Remember that Clarence Thomas said in this week's ruling, I would have even gone further.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Now, what was he saying? We've heard people say, well, let's just vote in a new group of folk in Congress and they'll change the laws. What Clarence Thomas is saying, I believe, Jesse, what Clarence Thomas is saying, you go ahead and do that. We're going to rule your change in law unconstitutional.
That's what he said now. And you've got to believe, you're going to hear it right here on KBLA Talk 1580 first. Up next is Brown versus the Board of Education. I mean, it's hanging on by a small thread. That is a constitutional interpretation that led to the Civil Rights Movement, that led to the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. We had to have a foundation in the Constitution in terms of the Supreme Court interpretation of the Constitution. And if we are without that interpretation, to overturn something as basic as equal protection of the laws or the end of separate and unequal is to only leave us with Plessy versus Ferguson. The only standing decision overturning Brown is to leave us with Plessy because Plessy overturned Brown. So if you strike down Brown, then the law of the land is Plessy. It's okay to be separate and unequal in every conceivable facility.
Jesse, that's what we're confronted with. And so when King is saying, I'm tired of marching, yes, he's tired of marching. Now, he's not suggesting that we would not have to march sometime, but he is suggesting that marching all the time and expecting substantive change is not going to get it. And so what are those other things that we must do? Yes, voting is important.
I'd like to see the No Kings March show up in Washington, D.C. with 1 million or 2 million people. And like the Poor People's Campaign in 1968, like Resurrection City, we're not leaving Washington until the tyrant leaves. Shut the government down.
Yeah.
You're not leaving Washington until the tyrant leaves. We have a right as a people to redress our grievances. Marching in downtown America, helicopters showing how many of us are marching, ain't the same as what I just said.
But think about this, Jesse. I'm sorry. Good. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry. No. This is your show.
But think about this. Remember at the top of the hour when we started our show, we said we didn't have the 2002 Homeland Security Act. Remember I said that all along the way for the last 75 years, there's been a restructuring and a building up for this very moment. Think about what happened in Michigan just a few months ago. They're ready. They are ready for whatever we might bring in that old school book. The question is, what must we do now in order to meet the challenge that we're confronted with the new world order that we have? If we're going to march, we must march as one, as a coalition. There's so much more in terms of putting in what I'll call the architecture of social change and social movement that we simply have not done that King said we must do. And remember, our opponents took the time over the last 75 years to do it.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be this policy-based framework. But, let me finish one more litany. I'm tired of registering people to vote for Democratic candidates who are the beneficiary of my labor, and they are not leading marches themselves.
Have mercy.
And they are not registering people to vote themselves.
You're meddling, Jesse.
And we are not demanding of them. We were with 10 of them together just 3 weeks ago, Johnny. And nary one of them is leading a voter registration drive. Nary one of them is going county to county registering people to vote or inspiring them to vote. That becomes another function of the DNC. Nary one of them is leading a King's March. I'm sorry, Johnny. We got about
no. We have to break.
Yes, sir. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More with Johnny Mack on the World House when we come forward, and our final second segment and his word of hope. More when we come forward, right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Still battling a thirsty lawn that guzzles water and drains your wallet? Let LADWP turn that patch of grass into a gorgeous drought-smart garden for free. We're talking a full California-friendly landscape makeover designed and installed by pros at no cost to you. That's right, LADWP does the work, you get the upgrade. Ready to transform your yard and save big? Visit LADWP.com/leap. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
You better work.
She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone.
As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like nuclear reactor safety expert.
I disabled the backup cooling system. It was making such an annoying noise. You heard it, right? It was like,
We're on the countdown to core failure.
And you're saying we don't want that?
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse. Great to be here.
Johnny, before we dive right in, how can we support your work?
TheWorldHouseProject.org is our website. TheWorldHouseProject.org. You can learn about our work and you can make a tax-deductible contribution there.
Johnny, I appreciate that. Johnny, just before we came forward, we were having a conversation talking about how weary and how tired we are. I can't believe I have to perch my lips to ask my children to get ready to start marching again. And you're saying that we have to adjust the structure of the way we do this going forward. Johnny?
Indeed, and that's my argument that Cain made, that the structure then may have worked for then, but it would not be sufficient for the difficult days ahead. It's that basic, it's that plain and simple. The question is, what do we do now? There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of obviously clear understanding of where we are, who our opponents are, and how we meet the challenge. And that's spreading that message, that information throughout the entire citizenry, Jesse, of the nation. We're in the fight of all fights. Hate to use a violent metaphor, but this is the fight of all fights. And if we're not up to the fight, we're going to lose.
I think that's absolutely right, Johnny. When I reflect upon what you just said, and I hate to leave it purely in a political context, but when I think about, God bless Jim Clyburn, God bless Maxine Waters and the elder Emmanuel Cleaver, the elder statesperson that are still in the Congress of the United States, knowing full well that we are in that kind of fight. We are electing some young warriors to Washington, D.C., and to public offices around the country. I'm just so concerned that the very structure that has allowed them to get elected is crumbling beneath them. The foundation itself is changing after yesterday's decision. And so I've got the fight in me, but I can't get to Congress. There are others who have the fight in them. They can't get to Congress. And those that can get to Congress are about to be part of such a narrow club of African-American elected officials. You have to raise the question about the quality of their voices as their districts begin to take on larger minorities and majorities who are participating in the process. And so you'll hear different voices. They may be Black, but their voices won't be the same. You understand? When you have to appeal to broad constituencies in congressional districts, you're not arguing for reparations no more. I mean, you're not arguing for, the historical needs of Black people. You're arguing for what the middle class needs and what they need. And your language changes because of all of these different interest groups. So the difference is electing a Gus Savage. The difference is electing an Adam Clayton Powell. The difference is sending Maxine Waters, fearless, to Congress, or Jasmine Crockett to Congress, or an Ayanna Pressley to Congress, or a Justin Pearson potentially to Congress, Freddie Haynes to Congress. But if Texas redraws its districts and Tennessee redraws these districts, we might not see Freddie. We might not see Justin Pearson. So it's not that our voices are not there. It's not that the intellect to look at the larger structural edifice-related problems are not there. It's just that I think the model of marching and the paradigm of preaching and speaking, I get it. Speak truth to power. I get all of that. Ain't no shortage of that in my household. But we're talking about the structure of permanent engagement and eternal vigilance in these election processes, and the recognition that the vote itself is the most effective nonviolent tool that we have in human history to bring about change. Johnny, we have all of it is yours.
So going back to King, in the same book, same chapter, he says, we must be prepared to act in unity and throw our support to such independent parties or reform wings of the major parties as are prepared to take our demands seriously.
Is that Dr. King?
For them vigorously. That's Martin Luther King Jr.
Man, I might have to put that. I might have to tattoo that on my chest. I might tattoo that one on my forehead.
Now remember, Jesse, King's talking about the difficult days ahead. He saw it coming. As I keep repeating this, he saw it coming. We just, every listener should get Where Do We Go From Here? And yes, read the entire book, but chapters 5 and chapter 6, he's really laying out what we must do. In fact, naming the book, titling the book What We Must Do may have been a more appropriate title in retrospect. Where do we go from here is good enough, though, Jesse.
Johnny, we have about 2.5 minutes before we come forward.
Time goes by too fast.
Bless us with a word of hope, Johnny.
Well, I can do my best, Jesse. I don't know that I'm in the blessing business, but I can. but Jesse, I can tell you what I hope for.
I want that same lottery ticket you want. I got. I want to get paid in won, though. I don't think I want US dollars anymore.
I hope, Jesse, for a renewed vision and a renewed commitment. If we're going to go down, Jesse, I hope we go down fighting with all that we have. If we're going to lose, I hope that we make every effort to ensure that our loss was not in vain. I hope that every citizen who holds dear democracy, every citizen, red or yellow, black or white, who holds dear the future of their children and their children's children, will join hands together and work in unison, in solidarity, to save this great nation and this great people and the only world we have, Jesse. If we don't do it, no one else will. And I hope, Jesse, that we all rise to that occasion.
I can't think of more profound words at this moment. That we're going to have to work in unison, that we're going to have to embrace each other, that we're going to have to turn to each other and not on each other to protect, preserve, and defend this experiment.
Yes.
This great democracy, this great, I believe it was Lincoln, it may have been Dr. King, the last great hope on earth may be what is the United States. Again, I've shared on this program many times, the history of the world is a history of unfreedom. The idea of freedom and liberty is a relatively new concept in the 250-year history of the world. Fighting for freedom is new. Most people around the world have experienced some form of peonage, slavery, whether it be chattel or any form of indentured servitude. That's human history from the earliest of times. Now we find ourselves in this great moment, testing whether or not that which has been placed on paper at our founding can be turned into our own reality. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been in the World House with Johnny Mack. Can't wait to see you guys on Fat Meat Fridays tomorrow with our creator, Gina Towns. More we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.